I'm Michelle,
And I'm Katherine,
and we're here at the Healthy Hurried Human podcast.
where we talk about keeping pace in a world that never slows down. But I will say, depending on your circumstances, it is really hard to be jobless right now.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd get to a point where I said, take the job for the insurance. But I feel like a lot of people out there take the job for the insurance because insurance, we don't know what it's going to be like in a year. And it is so expensive. And if a company's going to give you a break on it, like show up, do the job, and take the job. Like,
I agree with that 100%. I just think that there needs to be, yes, sometimes you can't be
choosy.
Take the job, but management jobs, unless you're being hired directly for a management position, oftentimes are promotion. I remember my dad telling this story. He worked for the airlines, and he had been there 20 years. He was great. He was very well respected, and they kept hounding him for management. But my dad had been paying attention for years. He's like, whenever they slim the budget, he goes, they always go to that level first. And so he never took the management role, but he was coming up close to retirement, and it would have bumped him up, and they were talking to him again about it. And my dad, being this super, spiritual person that he was praying over whether or not, and he said he just really felt like it was the wrong thing to do, to take this job. And then he found out they would have moved him to Minnesota, which he was like, not doing that because he would never have made it in that kind of cold. But 3 months after he would have said yes to that job, they laid that job off, and it would have ruined his retirement. But I think that takes some discernment and some watching. I'm talking about when you have an option. When you don't have an option, take job. I would never tell people not to take a job. Yeah. When you have options, I think you've got to be more discerning. Don't just grab it because they dangle a carrot of, it's a promotion. We're going to give you more money. It's whatever. Yeah. You've got to think about the discernment of what does that job really do? Is it going to be there's just some discernment in that you've got to look at the role from every angle, not just the title, not just the pay grade.
Yeah, I agree.
That's probably where I'm at. Do you have something? You look like you want to disagree with that.
No, I feel like we've gotten off of what we were originally talking about, which is like, where is AI showing up and how is it impacting the job market? And this has become a very long pod episode. And I feel like we've gotten off the original topic of, what, and I'm wondering, that's the look on my face was, I think, have we finished talking about what we were going to about AI? And what is it going to replace? And your Gianni's original statement of which now I want to tie back to what you just said. Does this eliminate the aged acquired CEO level when those are the people that are Gen X or the younger boomers who are not going to learn how to do AI? And does that mean that they will be kicked out of the workforce sooner, which goes to tactic knowledge, or what does that mean if we're implementing AI at lower levels? Does the knowledge change? Like, do we no longer need tactic knowledge? Will we dumb down all the systems for AI to run it, and we no longer need to know, the knowledge gap? Will that change?
What is your biggest fear or concern?
With what? With AI?
With the fact that where we're going. Do you think about Canon? And like his possibilities? This episode of the Healthy Hurried Human podcast is sponsored by Midlife Thrives. Midlife Thrives is for women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s navigating perimenopause and menopause. If you've felt the energy dips, the mood swings, or the brain fog that make you wonder if you're losing yourself, you're not alone. Midlife Thrives is here to help give you clarity, resources, and a supportive circle of women who get it. No quick fixes, no shame, just some real guidance for real life. Learn more and connect at midlifethrives.com because thriving in midlife isn't optional, it's your new standard.
Or for yourself?
Yeah, like for me. I'm like, what does that mean?
For my job.
For me. Because ultimately that does affect Canon, right? Like, And then, so one, it scares me a little bit because I'm like, okay.
Because you're only 35.
Right.
And so you've got many working years ahead of you.
Exactly. So it scares me on that end because I don't know what the future is. But then on the other end, it's like, okay, I have to build something so that Kenan has a choice. Right? So I don't know what that thing is that I have to build, but I have to build something so that if the opportunity to work at a job or on the corporate level or whatever for Kenan doesn't happen, I at least have some sort of way for him to generate income. And so
you feel the pressure of your kid. That's interesting because you're telling me that you feel the pressure that he has a way to generate income. You are carrying that.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now, is call it what you want to call it. But I'm like, for me, I don't want Kenan to go through this situation where it's like, okay, I need a job, right? I'm a single mom. I don't have a spouse. It's me and Kenan, and it's my responsibility to take care of him. Of course, he has an active dad and all that, but I'm like, I don't want Kenan to be in a situation where someone else is controlling his income. And so, for me,
you can't guarantee that.
I can't guarantee that, but I can build something, right? If I build a company, this is just my perspective. If I build a company, now Kenan has an option, right?
Because to take over your company.
To take over my company or to work in the company. Now, he's not going to get any special treatment because he's my child. You're going to have to start from the bottom like I did.
The dream of nepotism.
So, you know what I'm saying? But at least now I have an option where, like, okay,
you're trying to create something for him to move into.
Because that's what my mom did for me. Like,
right.
My mom owned her own business. My dad was a welder, but my mom owned her own business. So I was working well below the legal age, making like $50 a week at like 11 years old. So I understand the importance of, if you don't work, you don't make money, right? And so, but she built something. She sold that business. She didn't hand it over to me. I'm sure if I was interested, then I could have had that business, but that's the same thing that I want to do for Kenan. So yeah, I'm carrying the weight of that a little bit and still trying to make sure the things at home are also taken care of. So I don't know if everybody my age is going through those same things, but like I said, I have a friend that has a very decent job, but now he's talking about getting a second job because he's like, I don't know, like, what's going to happen. And so it's just very interesting time. So for me, and I think the calling that the Lord has put on my life is, like, yes, I can go out and get a job, but, like, he wants me to build something, right? And building something that I may never see the pinnacle of that, and that's okay. It's more for Kenan and his kids and whatever they decide to do with it. But that's what I believe, that's what my purpose and my calling is specifically, is to build something.
And that's a mindset from 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful that is a beautiful mindset of the family business, and a provision for the family that goes beyond their 18 years. It goes beyond, and how many Hallmark movies are based on running the family? Like it is a model that works. We were talking about nepotism, weren't we?
You were.
Okay. I was talking about nepotism. Yeah. And it was this whole concept of, but it's more typical in other countries. Mm-hmm. The concept of following in the family business. Yeah. And America, the message that we're telling children is, create your own dream and pursue it. You can be whatever you want to be. There's a counterintuitive message of you have to be better than the generation before you. Yeah. And there's this you're left unsettled. Yeah. And you also feel like you're not achieving anything if you don't surpass the generation before you, or if you don't go off and conquer new worlds. And it was just really interesting to learn about the perspectives in other countries. It's like, are we breeding dissatisfaction or the concept that we're not enough or haven't achieved enough if all I do is just do a really
in Japan,
good.
it's not like that. So like my dad is
It's not like that in Europe either.
My dad is Japanese. I have this on my hand, right? Ikigai, and I'm sure you're familiar with the concept, something someone lives for, right? And so I was watching the Blue Zones documentary because my dad is Japanese, but he didn't teach us a lot about his culture because he left when he was young, right? And so what was interesting to me is that, like, yes, they live a long time, but they live a long time because they build a life around the things that they enjoy doing. And so they're not looking to make the most amount of money. They're not looking to be the most successful. You never really hear about any of them retiring. Like, they literally retire because they're about to die.
That's right.
And so I'm like, what if we created a life living around the things that we enjoy, not to make the most money? And I think being in America and in society the way that it is, we've become a country and a people and a society that's greedy. So we always are trying to like you said, we're trying to outdo, oh, our parents were millionaires, we got to be billionaires. Like, why? And so I think that's sort of the approach too, is like,
but in America, we are told in order to have the life you enjoy, you need a lot of money to do that.
Because they've told us there's an American dream. Well, there's not an American. Your American dream may be different than mine. The American dream was get a good job, get the wife, have the kids, buy a house with the white picket fence. Like, to tell you the truth, I'm 35 and I'm like, the way that things are going, I don't know if I'm ever going to buy a house. Like, just straight up, if I truly live the life that I want to live based on the Ikigai principle. And so, and if that doesn't happen, I'm okay with that, right? Like, that's okay. I know people tell you to buy a house and blah, 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 blah. But if that's not the life that I want to create, that's ultimately going to make me happy and fulfill me, then I don't have to buy a house, because that's the American dream.
Tired teams don't just need another training, they need transformation. The Healthy Hurried Human Lab helps organizations build emotionally fit, resilient, and connected teams that perform better without burning out. This interactive training goes beyond theory, combining organizational psychology with personal appraisal that helps every participant understand how their mental, emotional, and relational habits show up at work. When people grow, companies thrive. Book your Healthy Hurried Human Lab for your teams today at foxygenconsulting.com and start creating healthier, more human workplace. It's really, as the person who, is the therapist, and I'm listening to our concerns and the things that we're seeing with AI and building something for our kids, thinking about their future, the pressures that we have to build a launching pad for them is really what it is we have to build up that launching pad. It's a pressure that I don't think our parents felt to the extent that we're feeling it, because the world is so rapidly changing.
I agree. Yeah.
What for me, I'm like, well, wait, where's this leaving people? Because I don't want to leave people hopeless or not feeling like they have some autonomy and that they have some control over what their future looks like. What, we're going to get into how do we, when you're at work, we have an episode coming up about, what does it look like when you're in a large company and you're seeing departments just disappear? That creates instability on the inside mentally and emotionally. But this is my little plug to, this is why the work that Katherine and I do with Foxygen, but specifically with the Healthy Hurried Human, that's what makes this work so incredibly vital. Have you seen the pictures of people on the beach in the 60s? They do this about 3 or 4 times a year. They'll show all these people and they're like, look. And then they show 2024 and everybody's overweight. But in the 60s, they're all thin and wearing little bikinis. And they say, what's happened to human beings? And it's in our food and that kind of stuff. And it's like, at some point, the food industry changed our food. I think that's a large part of it. But we also got away from paying attention to how we ate. There was some decades in there where we weren't paying attention to what we were putting in our body, and then the food industry was like, they're not looking, let's change it.
I think they weren't sitting around tables. It was, oh, we've got busy, we've got technology. And so now, instead of mom making a meal at home, it's like, oh, we're going to pick up Chick-fil-A after we leave soccer practice.
But
they were also shortening the processes of here's Tang. The astronauts drank it. You don't even have to make orange juice anymore. You can have Tang. Yeah. It was this creativity with how to supply food, and it actually comes out of World War II. There's a study done on it about how they started to change and manipulate the food to make and to enhance flavors and drive this and mass produce fruits out of season.
But we have decades of people ease. Because of that, for ease, we have generations of people turning a blind eye to nutrition. And then in the 90s, you started getting, we've talked about this, how in the 90s we had CEOs killing over with heart attacks, and companies were saying, oh, we might need to be paying attention to the health of our employees. And so then we started seeing workout rooms as a bonus, as an option. I mean, in the 90s, they would, when you wanted to get a job, they'd take you and show you around, and they're like, and look, we cleaned out a broom closet and put in the ellipticals in there because it was supposed to be a bonus. And because we started paying attention, I think nutrition started becoming, again, at the forefront. We didn't get it right all the time because, no fat. Remember, the no fat stuff came out in the 90s. But nutrition started to become important. Let's pay attention to it. And that is where I came from in building the Healthy Hurried Human, is wanting to create this ability to help human beings just make an evaluation of where you are emotionally, mentally, relationally, because those three things are our driving force. They are our driving force. They impact every other aspect of our life. And if we're not paying attention to the micro things, like you mentioned before, how they're having to change their ads because they don't have our eyes. And part of me, I was sitting here going, I need to really work on that. I need to put my phone down and not feel like, like I think not TMI, but it's like, stop taking your phone to the bathroom. Stop taking it. For me, this is me. It's like, where are my micro habits that I could just start to kind of like change some of the things that I'm doing? Like, where can I start shutting it down? Because I can't change the way the world is going, but I have control over how much it has impact over mine.
I want to go back to something that you said about the fact that we're changing scripts and dialogue because we're realizing people are staring at their phones and not looking at the TV. I'm a lifelong fiddler crafter person, and I love to have a movie on or something while I'm doing a craft. What they have shown, though, in brain studies is our brains really don't do well with that. And the problem that we have now, which is another bigger problem that we're talking about, is that they are doing studies that are showing that the fast scrolling through social media are changing our brain connections.
Yeah, 100%.
And there is another aspect to this of how do we, in the Healthy Hurried Human lab, teach you to make space where you are actually using ways to strengthen the connectivity of our brain functions. And I remember we're that age, Michelle, when we remembered when CNN started running the ticker tape across the bottom of their television news shows. And now, if you're watching anything, baseball, there's always a constant, whatever you're streaming, they're running something across the bottom, an ad, an advert. Yeah. And it is we have now trained our brains to think it's weird if it's not on the screen.
Yeah.
It's this evolution, but it's not for our health.
No.
It's not for our benefit. And our bodies and our brains are atrophying, and it's coming out emotionally. It is creating an anxiety, and it is creating a depression that has been clocked psychologically.
Well, and that's where have you read, especially for canon, have you read, Gianni, the book, The Anxious Generation? And it's about our children.
No, I need to get the physical copy. Cannon's dad sent me the Audible. I can't do audiobooks.
Me either. It's
So,
all right.
but
I
that
can't do the self-help ones. I can do the fiction ones.
All right, I'm going to end us here because for the last 2 episodes, we've gone rogue. And
I kind of like it.
I know. I'm like, I really like the fact that we went rogue. And I hope that our listeners have enjoyed this and that even though you couldn't see her, having Gianni join us for the last 2 episodes.
It's been really great.
Thank you for being here. And we hope you've enjoyed our vast amount of things we've talked about, from the worries of AI, raising children, nepotism, all the things. So thank you for joining us.
My beauty of thought of being able to walk through a creek at any given time.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. The Healthy Hurried Human podcast is brought to you by Foxygen Consulting and a handful of silent sponsors who believe in this work and quietly keep us going. We see you, we thank you, and we are glad that you're part of this journey.